I would also very, very much like to thank Martin, the team, and CIFE for the opportunity to speak here today. It's just terrific to see so many like-minded people in one spot. I use the word like-minded a lot, as did Matthew before me, and I think Matthew's on the same sort of road that we all are. We sort of term it a little differently. We call it a better way. And I think we're all pretty much convinced that there is a better way. And I'm going to make some apology up front. You're going to see some toof music. If you feel like dancing to celebrate that there is a better way, please do. I think we're going to see some things here which make analogies to aircraft and the car industry, which we all know, but I'm putting it up here because I think one of the hardest things to create change is actually that commonality. It's actually putting it out there that there is a better way. And I'll pause here a little bit because I think what we're all doing is we're rising the tide and it lifts all our boats. And that's what we truly believe in Blink. You know, whether it's partners from all the way around the world, it really does come to this. And I think that, like water, it all finds its own level. We can have different ways of going around things, but if we're all in the boats and we can get the tide to rise, that's what I think it's all about. And when I take my hat off to Martin, getting together a group like this, you know, the invitation yesterday to see some wonderful technology at NVIDIA, I mean, you know, there's a tide just waiting for us all to use. Blink's here for us all to get together about. And I think it's about raising that tide. It might be because we come from such a small country, New Zealand, it's an island. It doesn't really matter too much, the world got lots of sheep. Then I moved to a bit of a larger one in my youth called Australia. It's still an island, as we've all described, Matthew, and thank you very much for that. Then by way of working in 14 or 15 different countries around the world, as a structural engineer, we come from a structural engineering background, very strong in sort of innovation, haven't tended for 35 years. But there's a whole new world out there right now where the tide needs to raise. And it gives us a purpose. And I'm hoping while this slide, and you're going to see a few videos, bear with me, I hope they all work. But while this might come across as Blink's purpose, I think it could be broader for the industry as a whole. So we see it better. I didn't see anyone dancing, by the way, but good. So what are we going to make better? I mean, we covered a lot of it there with Matthew. I seem to put it down to some, probably the commonality of all our boats in this room, is the whole industry doesn't manage risk. It seems to push risk down to those who are probably least capable of handling it. Time, I called it Blink. Blink and it's done. You're going to see some videos of our first building, which is now 4 years ago, the backbone of which was for a 7-story building was put up in 11 days. You're going to look at, and that's why we call it Blink, and the influence of that on the internal rate of return to our clients, to developers and owners of property. You're going to look at the costs, as we covered with Matthew. You know, costs everywhere are going through the roof. Waste, this is my bugbear, okay? In our part of the world, 40 to 60% of our landfills are construction or demolition waste. I'm going to leave to my grandkids something better than that. That's what I think about like-mindedness and raising these ships. Injury. No one likes injury. Get into the factories, get it into manufacturing. I love the word industrialized construction. I wish I could get that word manufacturing in there because I think of industrialization still in smokestacks. I really want to get us high-tech and manufacturing. Existing technologies have not assisted in managing or reducing these risks. I even dispute my own statement there. I think we are coming, the tide is coming in. I saw stuff yesterday that I hadn't seen, and we want to be part of that. I think that the technologies that are being generated around here and around the world are crucial to getting a better way. And there's lots of people out there rising the tide. Our good friends from McKinsey, I think they're here today, have risen the tide significantly. A bold and worthy attempt from Katira. Will Watson heads up our business here in the US. You want to stand up and say hi, Will? Will can't get it out of his blood now. He was in Katira for quite some time and has found a different way to look at doing things better. So how are we doing it? We're looking at manufacturing that living environment, not building it. But we've got to do it together. And we're doing it locally, doing it better. When I first founded Blink, it came from a strong track record globally of structural engineering, where we did long span structures around the world, stadiums, hangars, all the way around the world, 14 or 15 different countries, always dealing with end users at one end and then bringing solutions to the building industry at the other. Founded on that, when you look at how do you go about a process of doing it together, doing it locally, I had this idea that came from two sources. One was a steel company in Australia that said, how do we compete with China? The other was a manufacturer who said, why can't we build buildings? A property developer who said, why can't we build buildings fast like they do in China? My answer to those two things was, of course we can. I lived in Hong Kong for 12 or 14 years. We worked in China a lot. Very good friends, very good part of the world. But we had to do it locally, and time was our friend. Totally undervalued in the construction industry. And again, that's why we called it Blink. But we had to go looking for manufacturers. This is pre-COVID. Looking under rocks, finding family-based businesses who, in the smallest part, still made doors, still made windows, still the importation of everything from Asia and around the world was crippling the country. No one wanted to know. It's never easy. No one wanted to know pre-COVID. After COVID, during COVID, suddenly sovereign manufacturing became the catchphrase. Suddenly we're looking at how do we get our factories going, how do we get things going, and I think that that's a process around the world. I couldn't see how to do it inside the current system and had to look at a whole new process from top to bottom. And you're going to get another video.
PT Blink is creating a unique technology platform and digital marketplace. It allows property developers and owners to manufacture multi-story buildings faster, safer, and better, and with far less waste than using traditional methods of construction. PT Blink minimizes property project risks through technology. So what is the PT Blink technology platform? There are three elements. First is the structural technology. Think of the chassis of a car. We call this the Blink backbone. Our backbone drastically reduces construction times and achieves complete dimensional accuracy of the building. Second is a kit of parametric building components that integrate precisely with the backbone. We are an open digital marketplace of accredited component manufacturers. Once accredited, anyone can participate. And third is the interface that connects and coordinates all users of the platform throughout our design, manufacture, integrate process to deliver the complete building. This cloud-based interface is powered by our proprietary Blink DMI Cube. Altogether, the PT Blink platform is unique. It enables engineers and architects to design with creative freedom, but also complete dimensional accuracy. It allows marketplace suppliers to manufacture off-site directly from the designs, including using robotics, and sell their components directly to the market. And it enables accredited builders to integrate the components safely on-site with speed, precision, and minimal waste. And for owners and operators of property, the PT Blink technology platform will remain the single source of truth, with a digital twin providing valuable information throughout the building's life cycle. With PT Blink, it's time for technology to transform the way property is developed and operated.
So pretty brand heavy. Our director of communications came from Canon, so he's very keen on keeping that thing going. Look, Very simply, you've heard it all before, a platform, a marketplace, and a just-in-time. Critically, everything we do is parametric. So we're pulling it apart, putting a new backbone on top of things. I'm going to very quickly just go into this sort of slides because it talks a lot about manufacturing. Again, the analogy to aeroplanes, analogy to cars, which we're all familiar with. But we actually get out there and do it. We stand in front of you here today as a company that's 20% owned by a large American entity. They're in the multifamily industry, and while we do stuff across data centers, across a whole range of things, having that commitment from a large company is just terrific, and it took to come here to do it. So again, the rising tide. You'll see here, design it, manufacture it, integrate it. There's that word integration, which we took probably with you, Martin. So, we're all on about the backbone being the datum, the physical datum. While we're materially agnostic, we started with steel. We started with steel for a reason. We're working with timber companies. We're working with composite companies. It's getting a backbone that's manufactured in a factory and delivered off-site, so any architectural shape. Here you're actually inside the factories that we work with. These are partners. These are partners worldwide. There's particular ones in Australia, but we've got identified around 100 partners or so here in the US. We're working with real projects. We'll be just studying the first one, which is Vancouver, Washington. Oh, this is interesting. So look, on the left is a digital twin, and on the right is exactly what's happening on site. Absolutely critical that all parts and all people in the supply chain, our authorised builders, are doing it exactly as it's stated. 7 stories, 11 days, in the residential area. Faster, safer, better. So 2 key bits of intellectual property. One is about the backbone, which is a method of building. The other is about an algorithm. So if we're bold enough to think, can we manufacture an entire building, then how parts come together to make up assemblies and are optimized for carbon or optimized for strength or are optimized for that process. We go, so 2 key bits. Again, everyone's intellectual property needs to be honoured and respected. And coming from Matthew's words, I mean, respect, like-mindedness are at the heart of what we do. How are we going for time there, Will? A little over 5 minutes. We cover some IP around the world. Different countries, different places. And we find that that idea forms new relationships. It's all about people. It's all about raising the boats. Structure is a datum that we work to. That's good, toof toof. No one's dancing again. You know, so in your hearts, you've got to dance in your hearts. So look, this is a few looks at the different forms of backbones, how fast we put them up. I think our record was around, well, we had 23 elements put in before lunch one day, which is around 400 square metres, 4,000 square feet of building created in the morning, and multi-storey completed buildings. They look like any other building. That's the key. In the US, this is an array of manufacturers who we are working with. Manufacturers are at the heart of everything we do. Design, manufacture, integrate. And manufacturing, I think, is the key to getting the boats to rise. So these are all partners. These are all people with different manufactured products. What we tend to do, and with good partners like Hypar and others, is go and make them parametric in their factory. Bring the technology into the factory so it can come onto a platform. There we are. There's Wayne Larson. He's our COO. He's in the factory talking about something as mundane as reinforcement, but it's absolutely crucial that we can get that manufactured off-site, make it parametric, get it onto a marketplace so people can drag and drop and create their own buildings anywhere in the world. The property developer comes directly in line with the manufacturer. Integrators pull the parts together. So all those margins on margins, Matthew, which we share that view on, we haven't talked enough about. We're trying to say, look, If you can get rid of margin on margin, integrators or new age builders make more money because they can do more projects a year, almost double your profits. And your margins can be at 10 and 12% rather than at lower figures. Cut out the waste. Again, the Blink Cube algorithm gives us a lifetime twin. Why did a family business buy into our company? It's not so much because we do, well, it is because we get the structures up faster in about half the time. So if you're placing $150 million worth of capital, you can now place $300 million worth of capital. At the same time, however, if you manufacture that digital twin, you're not scanning. I don't think its purity is part of the operation of that building forever. And you treat the building as if it's a machine. Our partner says he spends about 2.5 times the capital cost on operating the building over 30 years. That's where the savings, that's where you influence energy, that's where the whole thing comes to. There's a little side here, so we needed to make it easy for our manufacturers to come on board. This is a short video that just shows how that interface works and is working with a portal. And we're still looking to improve this portal so that a manufacturer who might make stairs, might make things in the middle of the country, can define his parts, say which parts are parametric, get onto a digital marketplace. So this is actually a tray element, which is one of our manufacturers is making that for us here. We don't manufacture at all. The backbone is just equally as part of the manufacturing process as is a stair, a window, a bathroom. And then you enter a 3D workspace. Okay, so in here you can buy, you can purchase, you can drag and drop your facade from the facade company. You can drag and drop an elevator. You can drag and drop these pieces to put it into and create your own buildings. Getting this into the cloud was why I got such a big kick from yesterday. Getting this so that the tide rises for everyone, so the manufacturers can join, consultants, architects can generate their own spaces. Here we go, we'll go to the top of the building, a backbone's been done, and again, this is residential. This is where we're starting, highly influenced by our partner. This is the space he's in. In our minds, we're going to have a 3D marketplace together with everyone for data centers, for car parks, for different variations on the theme. Here we go. You can stretch and pull within engineering limits. Interior walls are pulled in, and we call it above the line and below the line. So those things that you still want to do by trade can be done by trade. Those things that you want to do off-site can be done off-site. This gives the pure logistics and the combination of talents, both still using trades, but at the same time using as much as one wishes to. Is that 1 minute? My dear. ESG, we all know them. It's the waste that I concentrate on. 40 to 60% of our landfills. We need to fix that. We need to have sites safer, applicable across all sorts of industries, and a better way. So I guess my pitch, what I'm looking for, what I'm trying to say is Blink can't do it alone at all. The entrepreneur won't work. It needs to be this rising tide, this tide that I think I'm celebrating here in particular, because I think the tide has turned. I think that the tide has come to a point where industry, be they incumbent, be they authoritarian, be they any other section of society, the tide has turned, and we should celebrate that and continue to attempt together to get that tide continuing. Thank you very much.